The village of Dharigaon lay nestled between dense sal forests and a winding river that shimmered like a silver snake at dusk. Time moved slower there, and whispers traveled faster than the wind. When I returned after nearly a decade in the city, people greeted me with cautious smiles and lingering glances. I, Arvind, had left as a boy and returned a man, one who had seen the world but had grown tired of its noise. I had come home to find peace and a wife. My mother had arranged everything. She's from a good family, quiet, obedient, she said as we sat on the veranda, sipping chai. And most importantly, she has no past. I raised an eyebrow. What do you mean, no past? She shrugged. No father, no mother, raised by her uncle. Good blood, but no baggage. Something about her tone was off, but I didn't question it. I had grown too weary of questioning. The wedding was held on a cloudy evening. The sky hung heavy, with monsoon clouds, and an eerie hush had settled over the village. The rituals went on as planned, though I noticed fewer guests than expected. My bride, Meera, sat still through every ceremony, her face hidden behind a red veil. Her silence was unsettling, too perfect, too still. When I tried to meet her gaze during the firas, she turned away. That night, I lit a single oil lamp in our new home, a modest 2-story house on the edge of the village. The walls creaked like old bones settling, and the wind whispered through every crack. Meera entered the room like a shadow, still silent, still veiled. "You can remove it now," I said gently. She obeyed. Her face was pale, unnaturally so but beautiful, like a painting faded by time. Her eyes, large and dark, didn't blink often. "You're very quiet," I said. "Wait, do you speak at all?" "Yes," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper, "but only when I need to." That night I dreamed of someone crying outside our window. A woman, barefoot, dressed in red, her long hair matted with mud. I tried to wake up, but the dream clung to me like a second skin. When I finally stirred, Meera was already sitting by the window, staring out into the night. "Did you hear that?" I asked. She didn't look at me. "Sometimes the past doesn't like to be forgotten," she murmured. Chills ran down my spine. I told myself it was just nerves, just the strangeness of a new marriage, but deep down, something didn't feel right. Meera had no past, they said. But what if the past was simply hiding, waiting for the right moment to return? Days passed, and though Meera fulfilled all her duties with flawless grace, cooking, cleaning, lighting the diya at twilight, she rarely spoke more than a few words at a time. The villagers stayed distant. Even my old childhood friend Ramesh seemed wary. "You married her?" he asked one afternoon while we shared a smoke by the temple. "Her uncle lives near the old cremation ground, doesn't he?" I nodded. Ramesh's eyes darkened. "Strange things happen there. People hear weeping at night. She's not from here, not truly." I brushed off his words, but I couldn't deny the strangeness. At night, I'd wake up to find Meera not beside me, but either at the window or downstairs, talking to no one. "Who are you speaking to?" I asked once. She looked over her shoulder and smiled faintly. "Just the house. It listens." The walls did seem alive. At dusk, the wooden beams groaned like they bore a weight they had no name for. I began hearing faint whispers, indistinct like the rustle of silk or the hush of breath too close. One night, while washing my face in the courtyard, I caught movement in the well's reflection. A second figure behind Meera, pale, long-haired, head bowed low. But when I turned around, only Meera stood there, smiling softly. Everything all right, Arvind? I started to feel watched, as if the house had eyes. I'd returned from the fields to find candles lit in rooms I hadn't entered. Meera would deny it, saying perhaps I had forgotten. Her memory, her logic, always sharp, always one step ahead. But something in her gaze had begun to chill me. It held no warmth, only silence. One morning, I found an old trunk in the attic, bound shut with rusted chains. Curiosity pried at me. I broke the lock open and inside lay old wedding clothes, dull red, stained. A woman's journal lay atop it, its cover soaked in faded maroon. The entries inside were scattered and frantic. "He doesn't know I'm still here," one line read. Another page had only a name, scrawled over and over again. Meera. I confronted her that evening. "Have you lived here before?" I asked, heart pounding. She stood still by the lantern. "No," she replied, "but I've always belonged here." Her words were calm, deliberate, as if rehearsed. I tried to press her further, but her eyes locked with mine, and in them I saw a depth too ancient, too still, like a well with no bottom. That night, sleep wouldn't come. I lay awake beside her unmoving form, the shadows of the room creeping like hands along the floor. And just as the clock struck 3, I heard it again, the soft sobbing outside our window. But this time, it called my name. I leapt from bed and ran to the window, heart racing. Outside, beneath the twisted neem tree, stood a woman in a red bridal sari. Her head covered, her posture crumpled, as if the weight of the world pressed down upon her shoulders. The sobs were unmistakably real this time, broken and full of anguish. I glanced back at the bed. Meera still lay there, eyes closed, unmoving. But the woman outside wore the same red veil Meera had worn on our wedding night. Grabbing a lantern, I crept outside. The air was thick, unmoving, as if the village had paused to hold its breath. "Who's there?" I called. The figure didn't answer. She turned slowly, her veil lifting slightly in the breeze. Her face was ruined, burnt, twisted, yet her eyes were exactly like Meera's. My throat dried up. "What do you want?" I whispered, stepping back. Her mouth opened and in a rasping voice she said, "He lied." She lied. Find the roots. I stumbled back inside, bolting the door, drenched in sweat. Meera was awake now, watching me silently. "Was it her again?" she asked, not in fear, but curiosity. I didn't answer. Her expression changed subtly, a flicker of disappointment. "You shouldn't have gone to the neem tree," she murmured. "She doesn't like to be seen." I barely slept. The next morning, I made my way to the village archives, an old room behind the Panchayat office. There, amid dusty ledgers and birth records, I discovered a single torn newspaper clipping from 8 years ago. Bride burned alive on wedding night. Dowry dispute suspected. Family vanished. The bride's name, Meera. My Meera, number it couldn't be. But the photograph, though grainy, was unmistakably her. I returned home shaken. Meera was in the kitchen, humming softly. "Tell me the truth," I said. Are you that Meera?" She turned calmly. "The woman who was burned?" A smile curved her lips, slow and sad. "I was her. I am her. But I was also never allowed to be a wife." She placed a hand over her heart. "They took it from me. They set me on fire beneath that neem tree, but the house called me back." I felt my legs weaken. "Why marry me?" I asked. Her smile faded. "Because you came back. Because the house chose you. You're not like the others, you're... yet." That last word froze my blood. Before I could speak, the house groaned, louder than ever, like something beneath its foundation was shifting. Meera reached out and took my hand. Her skin was cold. "There's still time, Arvind," she whispered. "But only if you choose me completely." For days, I tried to leave Dharigaon. Each attempt was met with something cruel. The bridge collapsed after a sudden storm. My old scooter wouldn't start. Once, I woke up in the woods, barefoot, with no memory of how I got there. And through it all, Meera remained, always watching, always waiting, with that same soft voice and those unfathomable eyes. The house changed too. At night it breathed. I could hear it groaning, sighing, like lungs drawing in something living. The whispers turned to voices. They came from the walls, from the cracks in the floorboards. I began to see things. A man hanging by his neck in the corridor. A bridal sari soaked in blood appearing in my bathwater. Meera never acknowledged them, though once she asked, "Do you believe now?" One night, I found myself standing in front of the Neem tree again. This time I wasn't alone. 5 women in tattered red veils stood around it, their hands bloodied, faces scorched and eyes hollow. "He lives in her now," one of them moaned. "The house, it eats love. It grows when another man is bound to her." I turned to run, but my legs refused to move. Roots erupted from the ground, coiling around my ankles. Back inside the house, Meera waited by the door. "You left me once," she said, stepping toward me. "You forgot me like the others. Now, I will never be forgotten again." Her face shifted, as if layers of skin peeled away to reveal scorched bone and seared flesh beneath. Her voice deepened, echoing with countless tones, not all human. "You will love me, Arvind. You will stay," I screamed, grabbing a lantern and hurling it at the walls. The fire licked up instantly, but the house did not burn. Instead, the flames twisted and formed shapes. Faces, mouths, hands, all reaching, grasping. The house roared like a beast. I tried to escape, but the door was gone. Windows became eyes. The floor pulsed beneath my feet like flesh. Meera walked through the fire, untouched. "You are mine," she whispered, placing her hand on my chest. "And now, the house is you." My body ceased. I felt my skin harden, my breath slow. The walls wrapped around me like a womb. My last thought before the darkness swallowed me. I should never have come home. To this day, people say the house at the edge of Dharigaon is cursed. Newlyweds who move in vanish. Locals avoid it. But sometimes, on a stormy night, a warm yellow light glows in the upstairs window. And if you listen closely, you can hear a woman whisper, "Welcome, my new husband."